Hi, good evening. My name is Ariel, Bary, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of MobileODT. And what we do is a little bit different. And what I'm going to speak about is more the opportunities that software have to transform the way that we deal with life's most challenging issues. Specifically, how we can detect cancer using the simple supercomputers that we all hold in our pockets on mobile phones. So, healthcare, as all of you probably know, depends on information. To take someone from the death column to the life column, to make sure that someone's life is saved, you need to know who the patient is, where they are, therefore what provider they should go to, what type of doctor, what that doctor needs to know to make the right decision, what that decision was, and then finally make sure that person knows where to get treatment. All of healthcare can be boiled down to that aspect of information. If any one of those do not exist, the person dies. It's literally the difference between life and death. And so with healthcare being about data, about software, then the question is, how do we use the mobile computing revolution? How do we use the fact that all of us are walking, talking, exponentially growing data points to ensure that any person at risk is identified before that risk gets too great, before their lives are at risk, so that they can be identified, directed to the right provider, and treated at the right time. So instead of dying of a preventable disease, they can live a full and healthy life. And that's what we do. So my company, MobileODT's mission is to equip health providers with the tools that they need to save as many lives as quickly as possible, no matter where those lives are, no matter where those people live. And specifically, our interest is in cervical cancer. Cervical cancer, in Hebrew, Sartan Tzva Rechem, is the leading cause of death for women in remote and rural areas around the world, including, by the way, in areas in the United States, Europe, especially in India and China. Cervical cancer is the easiest disease to treat. It's easier to treat cervical cancer than it is the flu. And yet, it still claims hundreds of thousands of lives every year. If you identify cervical cancer, and you have 5 years to do so, you could treat it on the spot for less than $25, less than 100 shekels. So how is it that so many women die of a disease that costs 100 shekels to treat? Well, the fact is that most women are never screened. Every woman, every single woman needs to be regularly screened for cervical cancer, but 64% of women are simply not. Simply not. For a test that can save their life. And in America, just as an example, 79 million women have HPV, the virus that leads to cervical cancer. So when you take lots of people with a virus that leads to a disease, and you mix that with not a lot of people going to get screened, people die of something that they shouldn't. And that doesn't make any sense. See, the disease itself develops over time. Cervical cancer comes from a virus. That virus infects the cells, and it takes 5 years for that virus to become dangerous, to become a precancer. And at that point, treatment, it takes less than 5 minutes. A woman in a clinic, treated from death to life. Done. But why aren't they? This is America. The red are where there are no gynecologists. In America, one of the wealthiest countries on earth. Now take that and imagine the entire red continent of Africa, of India, of China, areas of Europe. There simply aren't enough experts. There just aren't. So even if a woman knows that she has the virus, oftentimes she can't get to a person that can provide her the treatment. And that's where we come in. So this is EVA. This is the Enhanced Visual Assessment System. This system, importantly, is based on a cell phone. This supercomputer that we all have in our pockets are incredibly powerful at doing a number of things that until now simply weren't possible. So that when years ago you needed a doctor, today you need EVA. in the hands of any professional that knows how to use it. And that's why the EVA system and the work that we're doing at MobileODT takes advantage of the opportunities made by code, by the internet, by the opportunity to transfer knowledge and information between anyone, anywhere, for any purpose, to address a specific treatable disease. That means the difference between life and death for so many women around the world. We're in over 29 countries right now, over 140 health systems, everywhere from the first cervical cancer screening program in Afghanistan to the most advanced clinics in the United States. Why? Because we can create smaller, smarter devices that can be used anywhere. And soon, we will announce, and I'll say it here, but you'll hear about a lot more about it later, we've identified ways to see precancer at its earliest stages with an accuracy of above 91%. That's 20% more powerful than the Pap smear, but with no need to send a sample to a lab. On the spot, less than a second, 0.7 seconds, identify the disease, treat it on the spot, so that no woman will ever be at risk of that disease again. But let's go back to this question of how can mobile computing affect healthcare, because that's what's critical here, right? For everyone here that knows the power of code, that understands the power of the digital transformation, how can mobile computing transform healthcare? Well, let me give the example from cervical cancer. First of all, you can identify women at risk. Second, you can apply the appropriate treatment according to the algorithm and how it suggests an individual to perform that operation. And third, you can ensure adherence. You can ensure that a woman who comes is treated by the right person. Now, this is a scatter plot of women, open source data from women around the United States that data scientists were able to identify with a close to 90% accuracy which woman, just from open data, is at risk of cervical cancer. So that they can then market to that woman, send her a Facebook message, an SMS saying, it's time for your checkup, it's time for you to come in. That kind of data processing and data analysis is critical if we're going to get the right people to the right doctor at the right time. Second, it's replacing the large and bulky and expensive laboratory tests with algorithms. Because what we can do for cervical cancer, identifying with an accuracy above 90%, can be done for a whole host of other diseases. We're already working in ear, nose, and throat, in oral, and skin, all these diseases that we're used to. Taking a sample, putting it in a bucket, giving it to the doctor. Doctor takes it, sends it to the lab. Lab takes it, unpacks it, puts it under a microscope, reviews it, then sends back a fax to the doctor who then picks up the phone and calls you. All that stuff is not necessary anymore. And for all of you in this room, you know that you've missed at least one doctor's appointment. What if that doctor's appointment would have been the difference in life and death for you? That process is where women die. By cutting that process, you save women's life. So what we can do is we can ensure that, one, public data is processed. Second, that machine learning enables the identification on the spot. And third, we can make sure that by not having that woman have to leave and then come back, by making sure that it all happens at one time, she simply does not die from a disease that is easily treated. And so our goal, by using those social data, by ensuring that we're supporting patients and supporting the health system throughout its work, is to use the power of big data, the power of mobile computing, in order to ensure that every woman everywhere receives the treatment that she deserves. Now, we will continue to do that in different spaces. And the key here is making it portable. Because no matter where a woman is, she deserves to get the best possible treatment. She deserves to get the best possible diagnosis. No matter where a child is, if it's a deviated septum, if it's a skin disease, they deserve to know what it is that's facing them so that they can be treated. I hope very much that you and all of those who are participating in the Hour of Code use your superpowers of understanding code, mathematics, and the power of data to transform and save lives. Thank you.